You ever heard of something called the change curve? Hi, I'm Jamie. I am a social entrepreneur, a workshop facilitator, a metaverse architect, and a digital economic justice campaigner. A really helpful way to understand change is through a model called the change curve. It derives from the work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who was observing people as they were coming to terms with bereavement and death, which is a pretty bleak job description, and you might wonder why that relates to change. Well, it's because all change involves letting go of the past and engaging with a new future. So the same patterns that she observed are the patterns that we observe when anyone has experienced change. They are the human response to change. When we're confronted by change, it's likely that we'll go into shock and denial. This is where we try to resist the change by proving that it is unnecessary, unreasonable, and we might meet it with a defensive energy. The second stage is when denial gives way to anger and blame. This is when we start to resist the change and we go into a bit of an "it's not fair" mindset, where we try to place external blame on other people. It's management's fault, it's people in suits' fault, it's divine justice. They are at fault for what's going on. The third stage is bargaining and self-blame. This is where our energy begins to take a nosedive and we begin to make symbolic deals to preserve the way that things are. If you make sure this happens, then I'll do better at X, Y, or Z. The fourth stage is depression and confusion. This is our final drive to revert to the existing or former situation. The realization that efforts are failing leaves people at their lowest point of performance, morale, and energy. This is when we get a greater sense of sadness, confusion, and depression. The final stages are acceptance and problem solving. This is when somebody accepts on a deep level that change is happening. No real future-orientated behavior can really happen until somebody accepts what is changing and they can see a future beyond the change. This allows people to take new approaches, make new discoveries, and eventually integrate this into their way of being. Not everyone will go through the process of change at the same speed. Sometimes people might get stuck at one stage, they might oscillate between two stages, or they might even regress backwards on the change curve. And it's likely that people are on more than one change curve at any given time, so it can be really difficult to identify if the response is relating to the change curve that you think it is. Can you identify your responses to change in this model? Let me know which bit stood out to you in the comments. And follow me if you're interested in this kind of stuff.